Welcome back to JOJ. It is February 23rd. I would like to say winter's getting closer to being gone.
I would hope so.
That's what I think. When it gets to March, then it's getting closer to spring. And
oh, yeah. Never mind. Sorry, we were in a good mood. You were in a good mood.
We made it this far today. Anyways, and it's spring and then it's warm.
Yep, that's right.
That's all I'm going for.
Starts warming up. So, yes, February 23rd. The verse from today is coming from James, chapter 4, verse 14. It says, "But you do not know what will happen tomorrow. Your life is like a mist. You can see it for a short time, but then it goes away." One of my most frightening moments as a teenager on Lake Tenkiller happened on a foggy morning as I motored my 14-foot aluminum boat through the fog to run a trot line. I knew the lake like I knew my own bedroom. Fog was no problem. I ran wide open toward a point where the line was tied. When I was halfway to the point, a rock bank suddenly appeared within a few feet of my bow. I turned the motor hard, but beached the boat 15 to 20 feet up on the bank. I was unhurt, but scared silly. Fortunately, I only had a 20 horsepower Mercury. I had no idea where I was. Then the fog went away, and I was no longer lost. God says our life will also go quickly, and we must be ready for eternity. That is I haven't...
I'm kind of traumatized.
Knock on wood. I haven't done that. But I do know exactly what he's talking about of scary moments in a foggy boat. I'll give you a short story on that. One time, I'm going to say I was 12-ish, 11, 12, something like that. And we were fishing a little tournament on Cherokee. Super, super foggy. There was like 5 or 6 boats or something. They were like, everybody just idle out. We'd waited for like an hour, and I mean, it was just locked in. And they were like, everybody just idle out, don't take off don't start running around till the fog gets up. And this was pre-GPS. Now we probably wouldn't run on a bank. You might run somebody else over with GPS, but anymore you know you could probably avoid the bank, unlike we did back then. But I can remember idling around, and idling out, come be like, okay, we'll just swing around to the right, kind of like what Jimmy's talking about here. Knew the lake like the back of our hand, kind of thing. And we're idling to that point, and it just never shows up. And most of the time, if it's foggy, it's really, really still there. So the water will be glass. And then every once in a while, there's a little bitty ripple. We're like, I guess there's other boats out here somewhere. We're just going in a circle. Because that's typically what you do in a fog. And we ended up a long ways idling from where, it took us forever just to find a bank again. Because we were just going to find a bank to start fishing. This was me and Dad. And the only thing every once in a while, there'd be a little ripple.
Because there's your own boat weight.
That was from us. Somebody told us, the way that what they would do back then, stretch out about 20 foot of rope behind you so that you could look back at that rope, and as long as it was straight and not curled, you realize that you were actually going in a straight line. And you'll eventually run into something if you go in a straight line long enough. So, yeah, that was, we did. We idled around for an hour before we ever found land. No joke. So, yes, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Interesting. Glad I haven't had to experience that.
Yeah. But it is. Our life is a lot like that mist. That's right here at the house a lot of times. Some mornings it'll be like locked in fog. You can't see anything.
No.
10 minutes later,
it's clear as day.
Clear as a bell.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. It'll be clear as a bell, and 10 minutes later, it's locked up.
Yeah. I know. It is. And it's hard. Like I feel like this can almost kind of spin you out too a little bit, because when you sit and think about life does go so quick, and you hear when you're younger, obviously when we were teenagers, Tom, it felt like it took forever, and then now that we're like midlife, it's like how is our daughter the same age we were when we met? That can't even fathom how that makes sense.
No.
So
that's I just recently showed Abby and Parker on like Google Earth how you can go back and look at old pictures. And so we went to right here at the house, and you could go back in time, and you could see before the garage was here and the pool. You see it currently like it all looks. And you go back a few years, and it's like, oh well, there's no garage, there's no pool. and you go back, and there's actually a picture of when we were actually building the house, like the excavators were here, and then you go back, and there's nothing.
There's nothing.
You go back a ways, and neighbors' house, neighbors' houses are starting to disappear. Then you go back, and you go far enough back in time, and there's no subdivision. It's just one big giant farm.
It's just the farm that was here.
And they're like, wow, that just to realize that what they're seeing now isn't what's always been here.
Yeah.
Because that becomes our reality. But you can look back in time and realize that no, it was a lot different, and then imagine how much different it's going to be in the future.
Yeah.
We're only here for a piece of it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that kind of, it even makes sense of us as humans. Like, we might meet somebody now, and it's like, oh, this is where they're at in life. Or, like, I mean, I think especially with Ought to Job, that happens a lot, is people see the now. And they're like, oh, I mean, like, it must be great. It must be nice. You get all those kind of comments. And it's like, we know, like, where we started. We know that there were times we didn't think we were going to get to the next tournament. Like, all these different things have built up, and even us as humans, like, we should be evolving. Like, we shouldn't be the same as what we were.
That's right.
Like, someone should be able to look at our life and be like, okay, like, they were good. Oh, they might have been a little bit of a train wreck at this time period, but then look where they've come back here. And we should always be growing and growing in our faith.
Growing in our faith and growing in what we're doing for Christ. And absolutely. I know that there was some more verses with that. And I kind of, because this book is, it's, again, the catch of the day. Yeah. It's little. It doesn't have a whole lot of scripture in it. I'm sure that there's more that Jimmy would like to put in it, but I want to add, some more verses around that, starting at verse 13. And this is, again, James 4, starting at 13. But the topic, it starts right here. It's boasting about tomorrow. And this is people, we got plans. I mean, we got some plans. And it's okay to have plans. It's not a bad thing.
I'm a planner, like, to the core, so.
Yeah, but we should always realize that our plans are in light of whatever God has planned. Yes. And always realize our plans are going to submit to his plans. But it says, now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money. Why? You do not even know what will happen tomorrow. This is what was in there. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or do that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them. So there's, I mean, he is ripping on a new one. Yeah, basically.
He's mad that they have made their plans and haven't had a second thought to, no, this may not be what God's plan is for you.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm definitely guilty of that. So probably, maybe a little less these days, but I mean, in the long run, it is sometimes. I feel like it's hard to, like, you do need to plan and be prepared, but also, like, God could be like, no, actually, you're not going to go do this weekend because this is going to happen and you're going to be here. So,
so no, we should, instead, we ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will do this or do that. Yeah. And that's us submitting to him and saying, hey, whatever he brings our way, that's what we're going to do. And we're going to be joyful in doing it. So, absolutely.
Lord, I hope it's his will that I don't have to live in the cold forever. When you just said I'm going to have to be joyful and do it. I'm like,
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you all enjoyed today, and we will see you next week.